In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you all my makes from 2019. So if that interests you, stay tuned. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Claire. On this channel, I talk about plus size dressmaking with the aim of helping you feel confident in the clothes that you're wearing. So if that interests you, do hit the subscribe button down below because I bring videos to you at least twice a week. So today I thought we would do a bit of a lookbook, a look back through all of my makes. I had just done a lookbook and filmed an audio over it, but it didn't feel right to me, so I wanted to get on camera and talk through the makes. I'm sitting to the side because I'm just going to show you some footage of each of my makes as and when I've got that footage. So a little bit about the background. I have just installed some calyx units and that's got all my fabric there and I'm absolutely in love with it. If you're not on Instagram, do follow me over there because I've posted a picture and everyone is absolutely loving it. And I'm still in the honeymoon phase of looking at my fabric all there. I'm sure it's going to get in a mess before long, but hopefully not. Hopefully I can keep it tracked. Once I've finished with this room and I've got it looking how I want it, I will do a room tour. So if that interests you, do hit subscribe. I do have another calyx unit that is going to go on the other side of the room there, but that is just going to house patterns and other sewing bits. This one is dedicated for my fabric stash. So just before we go any further, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone in my last video. I was in two minds whether to share that information and I nearly pulled the video at the last minute because I was so nervous to share it with you. However, I am so glad that I did. All your comments have meant so much to me. Thank you for all the support you're giving me, and when I've got an update I will let you know. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out my video which I will be linking. So without further ado, let's get on with the task at hand. So I've got a list here, I don't know if you're going to see that. I've got a list of all my makes that I'm going to go through and talk about each one of them. So the first one I made was a skirt for my friend. So this skirt was a rare big 4 pattern for me. I can't remember the number, but I'll put it on screen. So it's just a basic mini skirt and I made it in a parrot canvas fabric for my friend. I do have videos for every one of my makes, so if there's anything you're really interested in, do go to my channel and have a look for that video because they will be all there for you to watch. It was my friend's 50th birthday and I knew I couldn't go to her party. She was having a big party. I knew I wasn't going to be able to go to that, so I wanted to do something special for her. So I made this skirt. I went the extra mile. I put bias binding on the hem and turned it under, and also on the waistband I edge stitched it with some bias binding and then stitched in the ditch. I won't go into further details because I do have a video about that. So the next one I made was a geometric Sienna t-shirt. Now this fabric was gifted to me from Second Star Fabrics. They gifted it in exchange for me just posting as and when on my various medias. It's 100% cotton. It feels very much like a leisure wear fabric, the sort of thing that you might use to go running in. But it is 100% cotton and I absolutely love it and I still wear it to this day. I was going to wear it in today's video but I decided on this make instead. I got a really good fit with the Sienna last year, so I did make a few, so you'll see some more of those coming up. So the next one I made was a black and white Kimberly dress, and that was also an AK Patterns pattern. I understand that Athena's patterns are not for sale at the moment. I think she's taken a break, but from what I understand she is due back at some time. So I made this with gifted fabric from Minerva Crafts. So they gifted it to me in exchange for a blog post, which I have put up. I'll put links down below in case you want to read that blog post. So I altered the bodice beyond recognition in order to get the fit that I wanted for this one, and I still wasn't 100% happy. Well, I ended up putting 2 waist darts in the front because it's way too baggy and I wanted more of a slimline fit, so I did do that. But I think in hindsight I'd taken out too much ease because it is a little bit tight. That this dress, as lovely as it is, and I feel really amazing when I'm wearing it, I don't tend to wear it. It's a little bit too restrictive for me. I'm very much a jersey type of person. So next I wanted to make some leggings. So I made the Megan Nielsen leggings. I think they're called the Veronica leggings. Is that right? No, that's a Veronica skirt. I can't remember the name. I'll put it on screen. So I made them up, and I think I made a size 26, and they were way too big. I should have probably made a 20, because what I did is I got a pair that fit me well and laid it on top of the pattern pieces, and that told me I needed an either 20 or 22. So I had to skim the inseam of those. I couldn't like change it from scratch because I'd already attached the waistband, etc. So I just skimmed it inside. Don't tend to wear them a great deal. So next I wanted to draft my own, and I thought I'd show you guys. So there is a sew along where I show you how to draft them and sew them up. I got the leggings that I knew fit me well and traced around them to create my own pattern pieces, and then I created a pattern out of that, made it up, and I will link the video up above for that. In the process of making the sew along, I made a little ickle pair, and that was a free pattern from Love Notions because it was just easier to demonstrate with you guys with a little pattern. But they weren't for me and I didn't wear them. So the next one I made was the Shelley by the Pin Up Girls, and that was this pattern. That was in collaboration with Natida from Lifting Pins and Needles. We both made a bra up. I can't remember if she made the Shelley bra. I don't think she did. I think she made another bra by the same pattern company. So we both made the bra up. It fit, in terms of fitting, it fit really well, but it just didn't hold me up enough. So I don't know whether that was to do with the materials I used, but I do need to revisit that pattern and give it another go because it's not a million miles from being perfect. But that was in February of last year and I still haven't attempted it again, but it is on my list to do. So the next one was the Audrey denim jacket. So this was the first of 3 denim jackets that I made last year. The Audrey is from Seamwork. Now, it was the first time I'd made it. There's loads of pattern pieces with a denim jacket and I was a little bit overwhelmed. So I decided not to worry about fit, just make it up first, see how it is. I can remake it if I need to adjust the fit. And the purpose of doing that is it helps me to get to know all the pattern pieces and what will need adjusting, etc. It gives me a better visual than just going straight in and making those adjustments. So I made it up, wasn't happy with it at all. The shoulder seam came right down here when it should have been up here, and I had quite a bit of room. So where it should have, the pattern should have been like, the seam line for the arm size should have been there, but it was somewhere down here. It was really not a good fit at all. I did go all out with it. I used some lovely denim, and that was a designer denim, and I used pink top stitching thread, you might remember. As I say, I have videos of all of these makes. And I wore it for a few weeks, and then I kind of moved on to making my next jacket. And when I went to try it on again later, I just couldn't wear it because the fit was so bad on it. So I did end up putting that in the recycling, I think. At least I couldn't find it when I was looking for it. So the next make I made was another Sienna by AK Patterns, and that was a brown animal print. This fabric is really cold when you touch it, but it is cotton. I understand it to be 100% cotton, but it's just really cold to touch. It's another one that feels like a leisure fabric. a leisure jersey, like so if you were for making running leggings or something like that. But I made a t-shirt out of it and I still wear it today. You might see it in some of my recent videos actually, but it gets a lot of wear and I absolutely love wearing it. So my next make was a navy dress, and that was a Samantha dress by AK Patterns. I was doing quite a few AK patterns last year, and I had bought this pattern, but then later on Athena contacted me and said she wanted to do like a roundup of Samantha dresses and would I make one up. So that's what this was for. I bought the fabric from Tilly B's. It's a navy scuba crepe or crepe scuba. Not very breathable, but it makes a nice winter dress. I haven't worn it a great deal because what had happened is I'd crossed the bodice over too much because I was a little bit concerned that it wouldn't cover me. But then it didn't fit into the top of the skirt when I sewed them together. And so what happened is I was stretching the bodice into the skirt and it created this kind of gather. I do need to undo that or unpick it and re-sew it because then it'll be perfect. A few people noted at the time that it was a little bit big for me and I could have probably sized down. I'm not sure about that, but I tried it on when I was trying all my makes on and I actually don't hate the way it looks. So if I do unpick it, it might work. One thing that I did notice this time round, being that we're nearly a year later and my sewing has progressed quite a lot, is that the neckband was standing up at the back. And that is because I didn't pull the neckband in. So like, say it's the same process as when I make like a laundry day tee like this and I add a neckband, you have to have the neckband about 20 to 30% smaller than the hole it's going into. So it sort of gathers it in and it lays flat, and it's the same process on a neckband that goes all the way up and down, which this one did. You need to pull it in. As far as I remember, the instructions didn't say to do that, so I wouldn't have known to do that at the time, but I very much would do that now. Just between the two shoulder seams, I would just pull it taut so that it just it encourages it to lay flat when you're wearing it. So in essence, the actual band needs to be shorter than the length that it's going into, only by a little bit, because it's only like from about here to here that you will want to stretch it in. The rest you'll just put it in normally. But other than that, yeah, I think it'd make a really good like interview dress if I was going to an interview, something like that. So I think I will fix that if I, well, I'm not great with alterations. I tend to like make it, and if it needs alterations, just pull it to the side, which makes no sense whatsoever. I should actually just get on and make it, or fix it, I should say. So the next one is the Liliana jacket by Seamwork, and that was a collaboration with Katrina from Lifting Pins and Needles. Now, this was the first time that I really started to hack a pattern to try and get a better fit. The shoulders were falling off, so I needed to reduce the width of the shoulders, but really not knowing what I was doing, I took some width from the inside of the neck seam as well as the outside, thinking because I needed to take such a lot from the arm side, it'll be better if I took some from here. But in effect, I've got a jacket that's got a really wide neckline, and considering there is no collar, it looks even worse. So I did a full bicep adjustment and that worked quite well, and I think there was too much excess in the back and the hem just wasn't even. I think because I'd done a full bust adjustment, I'd made the front longer, and you can really see that in the footage when you're looking at it when I turn around to the back. That's something to bear in mind because I obviously didn't need to do a full bust adjustment. On bodice blocks, there's an area where you have a princess seam, and some have it and some don't. This one didn't, but I really think it would have benefited from having a princess seam because there is so much excess around that area, and if I had a princess seam, that would have been super easy to take that excess out. So if I was to make this again, I go back to the drawing board and do it completely from scratch, and then make a new toile and see what happens. That might be something that I revisit in the future. If you'd like to see how I hacked it then and how I hacked it now, after a period of time when my sewing has increased and my understanding of construction has improved. If I get enough of you that want that, then perhaps I will do that video for you. So the next make I made was yet another Sienna, and this time I extended it down into a dress using this snake fabric. I wasn't overwhelmed with this fabric. It's got a really rough texture and it's quite scratchy when it's on, but I'd bought it, so I wanted to do something with it, so I made this. However, I'm not a big fan of this dress at all. Apart from the fact that it's really scratchy, I think it hugs me in the wrong places. I could cut it off at the waist and wear it as a top, but it's so scratchy that I really am not keen. The only times I've ever worn this is to show you guys on camera, so I think I might just donate that one. There's nothing wrong with it in and of itself. It's a lovely make, it's a good fit on me. The shape of it doesn't suit me because it just hugs at all the wrong places around my tummy. Next, I made a pink and white Kimberly dress, also AK Patterns. So this is the same pattern as my black and white dress. Now, I bought this fabric from, I was going to say Poundland. I bought this fabric from Fabricland in Southampton, and I wanted to do something quite nice with it. So this is what I did. So I fully lined this one because the fabric was so thin. It was a cotton lawn. But I absolutely love it. It fit really nicely, except that it is, because where I've had it hanging up in the wardrobe, the hem has dropped significantly. So I can't wear it at the moment, and I do need to re-hem it. So I'd need to measure it down from the waist, cut it off where I want it, and hem it. And that is a problem when sometimes when you hang clothes up after you've made them and leave them hung up, you will find that the hem will drop even further. So it is advisable that when making something that is likely to drop, that you fold it up and put it away rather than hang it, or at least fold it half over so there's not so much weight bringing it down. So the next make I made was a kimono, or I think it is more politically correct to say like a topper. At the point I bought it, it was called a kimono, but I think they may have changed the name of it by now. So this is just a topper that you wear over clothes, maybe like in a summer evening or something you might wear this. I absolutely love this make. I think I did a really good job with my sewing on this one. It fits me lovely, but the only problem is I've got nothing to wear with it really, so it doesn't get worn. I kind of need like a plain navy top, so maybe that can be on my list to make, and then I could wear this in the summer. I think I did wear it once or twice, but I just felt uncomfortable because I didn't have the right clothes to wear it with. So I can't remember if I said, but this was part of my 12 Patterns Plus challenge. So that was a challenge I'd set up similar to Sew My Style for plus size people last year, and that was one of the challenges. I have now handed that over to someone else to manage. But yeah, so that was a challenge I did last year. Really liked it. If I made it again, I would make it longer so that it covered my bum more. Nothing much to say. I really enjoyed making it. It was a nice quick make. The pattern is from Patterns for Pirates. So the next one I made was a Helens Closet Pinafore, and that was just made out of some jean fabric that I bought as seconds from, I can't remember if I bought it from Minerva or I bought it from Abercans. It was one or the other, might have been Abercans, and I just made that up. This was before Helen had extended sizes in that pattern, so I did have to add a panel down the side to make it wearable for me. Nice quick make, but I just don't feel that pinafores suit me. I really don't. I've tried a few. I've tried the Jennifer Lauren one. I've tried the Helens Closet one and the Tilly Buttons one, although I don't think I ever wore the Tilly Buttons one. Yeah, they just don't suit me, and so that just sits in the wardrobe as well. So the next one was the Holyoke dress by Cashmerette. Now this fabric was gifted to me by Minerva in exchange for a blog post, which is up. I will link that down below in case you want to have a read of that. So this was just a viscose fabric, very, very pretty. I love this make. It was quite an intensive make. It was more intensive than I expected it to be, but it didn't help that I was making it in a rush to meet a deadline. I love the thick straps. I love the elasticated waist. I love the overall shape of it. I think the neckline is a little bit too high for me. I'd probably bring it down about an inch if I was making it again. And I would cut the front on the fold rather than having a button placket down the front that you can't see anyway. So my next make was the Sadie Jumpsuit. I made this jumpsuit in a 12 fabric and really didn't like the way it looked. I needed a few alterations to get it right. And I wasn't convinced that a bodysuit was right for me. I need ease of getting in and out to go to toilet, because at that time I had a lot of pain from a frozen shoulder type incident. So I decided that I was going to hack it and make a top. I really liked how the bodice fitted. So what I did is I just made the bodice. I added a panel to make it longer. The only issue was I didn't add enough fabric into the panel where I could have just made it gathered, and I didn't make it gathered. I like it. It's a tiny bit on the tight side. I need a bit of a bicep adjustment as well on the sleeves, or to just go up a size potentially. But the front fit, but it's a little bit gapey and opening-y. Opening-y, is that a word? So I need to add a popper there or something just to keep it shut. So the next one was the Laneway, and that was a collaboration with Akram from Akram's Ideas. So we both made the Laneway up, and I had so many problems with this around the bust, well, the upper bodice really. I had so much excess fabric around the bust area. Even though I measured my upper bust and worked it that way, I still had loads of excess, and I made 3 12s before I eventually got to what you're seeing on screen now. And I still wasn't happy. I don't know if you could see close up, but there are drag lines across the top of the bodice, and there's excess around the side of the bodice, and the shoulders are not in as much as they needed to be. Now, it wasn't just me that had problems. Akram had issues with this, and I'd read quite a few other people had, so I think it was probably the pattern rather than my issues. But it was good to make it and have that experience of trying to hack the pattern to improve it. So the next make wasn't for me, it was for my husband Darren, and I made him the free pattern, which is the ABB t-shirt for men from the DIBY club. Fantastic pattern. I did do a video on this, so I'm not going to go into great detail, but I made him the free. So I made him a twirl one in like a teal t-shirt in fabric, which I didn't even finish it, and that's the one he wears most now. I keep trying to convince him to put it in the bin. The top stitching's all coming off, and like I haven't hemmed it at all, but he just loves it. Much to my annoyance, he does absolutely love it. So then I made him an organic cotton one, and then the piece de la resistance was one that he designed himself. He wanted to replicate a football t-shirt from the 70s. He told me what colours he needed, and he had an old football shirt that was falling apart, so we took the badge off of that and put the badge onto his new shirt. He does want me to readjust the badge because it's not in the right position for him, which I still haven't done. So he hasn't actually worn this, but I must get on and do that for him so that he can wear it. But he absolutely loves that. So next up, I made 2 Ashton t-shirts from Helens Closet. So I made a toile in green, which I made just without any adjustments, and it fit almost perfectly. The only thing that would show it up to be a toile is I did different colour bias binding at the top to the hem, but other than that, it's just fine, and I do wear it as a top. I made it in like a poplin cotton, which was probably not quite drapey enough, but the actual fit of this was fantastic. So I went ahead and made a red one, also in poplin. And I do wear them both. If there's one criticism of that pattern, it's that the length isn't long enough on me. So I would like it to come down over my bum. So what I would do if I was going to make it again is I would extend it, but I would flare it out into almost like an A-line shape so that there is some drape over my tummy and it's not tight like some of the other makes that I've made. I also made 2 pairs of Winslow culottes. The first pair were just a toile in black viscose, and I don't even have pictures of that to show you now. But I then went on to make them in a floral fabric, and I made some changes that I shouldn't have made. I was getting a little bit happy with my hacking, and because the black pair, the seam line for the seat was coming almost down to my knees, I felt I needed to amend that when I made the second pair, and I took out about 2 inches, but the result was it was a little bit too tight around the tummy and the seat area. So if I was to make it again, I would just leave it as is and it would probably be fine. So when I made the Winslows, they hooked up at the back a bit and the hem wasn't level at the back of the leg as the front of the leg, and that is just because with my big booty it lifted the fabric up, so I need to do a full bottom adjustment on those pants in order to make them look level at the front and the back. So the next one I made is the Blusette dress. Now when I was looking for this dress to try it on and film for you, I couldn't find it anywhere. I do not know what I've done with this, which is a shame because it's one of my more favourite ones. So I made a toile of this because the skirt actually has gathers, but then I decided to take the gathers out because I thought they were not very flattering. And I think I brought the shoulders in a bit, and I made quite a few adjustments and I got it looking how I want it. So I wasn't overly keen on the style to begin with, but I gave it a go because I had the pattern. I think the pattern I bought cheap for like $5 when it was on sale. So I thought I may as well make it up, and it was a good process to go through. Certainly in terms of hacking a pattern from what it's intended to be to what I would like it to be. So that was a good learning curve for me. So next up, I wanted to do a sew along for the Laundry Day Tee by Love Notions. Before I did that, I wanted to make it myself just to remind myself of the pattern. So I made my Minnie Mouse dress. I had lowered the neckline because I thought the neckline wasn't very low, but turns out it was, so it was very low when I'd finished it. So this is just a dress that I wear around the house. I'd done a full bust adjustment on this. The pattern has now been updated to include cup sizes and extra sizes. So I am going to revisit that. So I might do a video about that if you want one. Do let me know down below. So once I'd done that, I then created the white one with spots, which was the actual sew along. In hindsight, this fabric wasn't great for it, but I was working with what I had. It's a t-shirt weighting fabric, and although it's not completely see-through, it is the type of fabric that's showing all my lumps and bumps. So I only actually wear it around the house, but it is very, very comfortable. Next up, I made one out of scuba. Now, I do not know what possessed me to use scuba for this pattern. This pattern requires drape, and scuba has next to no drape whatsoever, and it didn't top stitch very well at all either, and it was quite tight and the neckline was quite wide on me. So that has gone in the recycling now. There is so much noise going on outside. I do hope that you can't hear it. My apologies if you can. I nearly forgot the most important one, the one I am wearing. And this is my 4th laundry day tee. Now this fabric, you might remember, is fabric that my husband had gifted to me. And when he showed it to me, I wasn't overly keen on it, I have to admit. But you guys all loved it, and it's completely grown on me. I made it into my 4th laundry day tee. This is easily my most worn outfit of the whole year. I absolutely love it. It's so comfortable. It's just so easy to wear, and I love the colour now. So next up, I made 2 Sloan jumpers. Now I was doing this as a pattern test, and I didn't really have the appropriate fabric, so I just decided to use some rib knits, which is a very, very thin and very stretchy fabric. And so I made the first one in like an orange salmony colour. I was having a dilemma about how I was going to hem this, and I decided that I was going to do a lettuce hem. That was the first time I'd done a lettuce hem, so I did that on both my tops. After that one, I created another one, which is in a light colour, but I do need to wear something underneath because it is see-through. But they're nice ones, and they're ones I also wear around the house because they're very comfortable. Next up is the 3rd and final jean jacket that I made, and that is the Stacey jean jacket by Stylo Arc. It was my first time using a Stylo Arc pattern, and I did struggle a little bit with their lack of instructions, but I do go into that in my video, which I'll link above. This pattern was the best drafted of the 3. So out of the Liliana, the Audrey and the Stacey, this was very much the best drafted, but it still did leave a little to be desired. So I ended up taking 3 inches or so out of the sleeve head, because there was just so much room there. With a plus size person, the top of their sleeve head is quite relaxed because it has to go around more of an area. But with this one, the sleeve head was quite compact, like it would be with a slimmer person's sleeve head, and so that did draw my attention, and I did have to relax that somewhat. In terms of it coming in at the arm side and fitting me correctly, it was the best out of the 3, but it still needed a little bit more work, and I wasn't completely happy with it. Also, I misjudged the measurements and the front didn't meet together. So when I was measuring the pattern pieces, I didn't take into account the placket is folded under a couple of times, and that is something that I would need to be aware of. So I didn't end up putting buttonholes into this because I couldn't close it anyway. And then I made the boyfriend cardigan, also by Love Notions. You might see a bit of a pattern where I sort of have a moment with one pattern designer and then move on to the next. And this was certainly the case with Love Notions. So I made 2 boyfriend cardigans. Having filmed myself wearing them, I'm not that overwhelmed with joy about them now. I don't think they're overly flattering, and that's down to the fabric rather than the pattern. But they keep me warm around the house. The light coloured one I do wear out a fair bit because it is just warm and it covers me up. But the blue one, which was actually the favoured one when I did my video about them, the blue one was the one you guys favoured over the lighter coloured one, but it's the lighter colour one that I tend to wear more. So yeah, that was just a basic cardie. It's very similar to the Blackwood cardie. So it has a shawl colour though, which is a little bit different. It was an easy make, and I made both of them in one afternoon. So then I made the Sienna coat or jacket by Closet Case. I saw this come out and I thought it was an okay pattern, and then I saw Karina make it up and I completely fell in love with her version. So I contacted Closet Case and said, would you issue me a complimentary copy in exchange for a review? And they agreed. So I went ahead and made that up using a mustard twill that I had in my stash for a few years. I did use the full 3 meters, which was quite a lot for a jacket that's a boxy jacket, I should say. But I absolutely love it, and it is by far my most worn jacket. In fact, it's the only jacket that I wear out at the moment. I love it. I did grade it from the bust to the hips or the waist, but I didn't need to do that. In hindsight, I wish I hadn't done that because it's a bit too roomy at the waist, but I still love it. I really, really love it. And you guys seem to like that one as well. It was one of those patterns that really helped me, my sewing go up a notch. And there is a sew along on their blog, so if you get stuck making that, do check that out because that helped me immensely. And then my final make was the Pona jacket by Helens Closet. Now, I made this up in a B fabric, which was just like a twill. It was a twill I'd bought from the textile centre about a year or two before, and I didn't know what to do with it. It had little bees on it. It had a little bit of stretch, and the Pona jacket pattern does say not to choose anything with stretch, but I did anyway, and it didn't harm it whatsoever. It's nice, but the fabric is far too structured for that pattern. It needs something with drape, like a linen or something like that. But because it was such a quick and easy make, I wanted to do a sew along to show you guys. So I then made it up in a hot pink dupioni, like a faux dupioni, that I had originally bought as a linen fabric, but it was too structured for that. And it was a little bit rough to touch, so I just used it to do this. And again, it was too structured for the actual design of the jacket. However, it worked really well for the purposes of the sew along. So I have that, and I may wear it. I don't know if I will or not. It is a little bit. I like my loud designs, but that's a little bit out there even for me. So I hope you enjoyed this roundup that I've shared with you, all my makes from 2019. Do leave me a comment down below and let me know which was your favourite make of mine. Have you made any of these patterns? Do let us know. I'd love to know what you think of them. And don't forget, for all the makes that I mentioned, there are videos on my channel. So do go and have a watch of those if you find anything that interests you and you would like to know more. So if you like this video, do hit the like button down below, hit subscribe and the notification bell, and leave me a comment. If you'd like to support my channel further, you can buy me a coffee over at ko-fi.com/penguinandpear, where I can accept donations of $3 or pounds and upwards. So do go and have a look at that if that interests you. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you giving me your time today. If you'd like to watch some more of my content, perhaps check out one of these videos. Otherwise, I'll see you soon. Until next time, happy sewing. Bye for now.